and there's only one mind dreaming. And that's why Jesus says in the Course, when I awoke, you were with me. Because people have asked me that question for years. It's like, well, if Jesus already woke up, why are we still here dreaming? And it's like, and I hear Course in Miracles teachers to say, we all, we all, we all. Who's the we all? Who is the we all? There is no we all. As long, one teacher said, they asked him, does God know about any of this? And the teacher said, God doesn't know about us. Who's the us that God doesn't know about? Of course God doesn't know about the us, because there aren't an us. It's not there. God knows Christ, God knows oneness, God knows eternity.
This goes to the core of this whole thing, that the fact that you are there and that you are appearing to tell the us something. What you're really doing is you're telling yourself. So you don't need a microphone.
No. You don't really. I mean, it's like talk, and that's the fun part of it all, has been when people have said, if this, I was just over in mainland Spain, and remember the guy that showed up, and he was like saying, what about that? And he said, if everything is so perfect, why do anything? Why travel? Why give talks? If there's nobody out there, who are you talking to? And everything. I said, I know exactly. Isn't it great? I mean, that's the fun part of it. You're not sitting in front of a crowd thinking, okay, there's all these eyes looking, you better have something wise to say tonight. They're waiting on some good stuff. They don't want to be disappointed. There's no sense of talking out or doing anything in this state. It's happy, it's joyful, it's like frolicking, it's playful, but it's not out of a sense of lack or a sense of telling somebody something. You don't have to convince anybody. That's the most spectacular thing about it. And it's kind of fun to just be flowing and not have to convince anybody. Nobody has to agree or disagree with it. In fact, it doesn't even matter. Those are just constructs. If it's just flow, then there is no agreement or disagreement. Think how relaxing that is, if you could just sing and flow and dance and express, but realize that you're not expressing for anyone else. You're just in the joy of expressing. And that's what creation is. God just keeps extending God. It's just extending love and light, without a beginning, without an end. It's just a state of mind, it's a state of being. So, once you have no motive, to teach anybody anything, to convince anybody, and I think that's where this teacher concept comes in, is as long as teaching is associated with form in any way, or words, then that's where the mistake comes in. Then how much is enough? I mean, how many words is enough? I met a young man in Australia, and he heard me talk a few times, and he followed me to breakfast one morning, and he was very angry. He sat down I was having a bowl of cereal, and he sat across from me, and he said, teachers like you have, you and Gangaji, and he rattled off a few different names. He said, and my friend Asira, you have an enormous responsibility on this planet, and you teachers are not taking your responsibilities serious enough. I mean, he said, I've been in prison, and there are a lot of people suffering out there. There's a lot of young people suffering, and it's because you teachers aren't doing your job. You should get out there more, get off your tails and get out there more, travel more, reach more people, get in the prison systems, get going. It was really had a lot of hurt and guilt and everything like this, and he said, the young man said, I'm trying to impress upon you, David, that you have a very, very important mission, and don't take this mission too lightly. And I just sat having my bowl of cornflakes, and I said, no, I don't even see that I have a mission. Oh, he was raging. that's what I'm talking about. You're in a denial state. There are people suffering out there in great pain, and you sit here eating your cornflakes, not even admitting to your mission. This is what you teachers, the worst thing about you teachers. But it was the teacher was seen as a person. And when you follow this in the inward journey, Jesus does say, teach what you would learn. And he says, teach only love, for that is what you are. But you finally have the realization that teaching is thinking. When you're thinking in alignment with God, you are literally saving the whole world because you're saving your mind. That's what salvation is to think with God. Thinking is not the problem. There's even a part in the Course in Miracles where it says that Christ is an idea in the mind of God. So even God thinks. God thought up Christ. When people say, oh, you should just feel, get out of your head, get out of your cognition, don't think anymore, just feel the love. Well, actually, love is an emotion that comes from God, and God thinking. So when you're thinking with God, when you're aligned with God and you're thinking with God, you're happy and you're loving and you're joyful, and you do feel the love. But there's no sense of a personal teacher. So it's out the door with the gurus and the avatars and the saints. Those were all beautiful symbols, and that's why we like the St. Francis, and that's why we like the Mother Teresas and the Gandhis and on and on. And yet, when you really get into the state of enlightenment, you don't take any of that seriously because you realize that that's all symbols too.